Hello and welcome to lesson 1 of week 3. In this lesson, we are going to look at loops in JavaScript. My name is Mildred. Loops are used to execute a block of code repeatedly until the specific condition is met or as long as the condition remains true. We have different types of loops in JavaScript. We have the for loop written for like this. Now, when you write your for statement, you put a pair of parentheses. The first parameter you have there is your initialization value, and your initialization value will be a variable that you want to initialize. Let's say let I be a variable is equal to 1. The next thing you want to have is your condition. We want to say as long as I is less than or equal to 5, we want to increment next or decrement. So you can do I++ or minus minus. Then in a pair of curly brace, which is the code block, you want to write what you want to do as long as this condition is true or remains true. So let's say we just want to write console.log and we put number plus I. We want to just print number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. When we go to our console, we will see number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. So we are repeating this printout, having a different value each time as long as this condition is. And what we use to change that value is this increment operator that we use here. We say increase the value of I when you finish this satisfaction. Go back to the condition and see if I is still less than or equal to 5. You run this condition, you increment. So it goes like this. It gets the initial value of I, it sets the condition, and it says what to do after this is fulfilled, which is increment or decrement here. So we want to look at another way of using the for loop. Maybe we want to use a conditional statement within the for loop. Let's say we want to say I is equal to, let's say 0 for instance, and we want to say I is less than or equal to 10 and I++. We want to say if like I is equal to 5, maybe we'll print something, and so we'll say console.log, and maybe we want to log we are halfway done or something like that, and else then we log the number I. Like that. So you see how we can have a conditional statement within a loop. Let's run this to see what it looks like. So it says 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then if it's 5, just say halfway done, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so we have achieved what we want. I'm using a conditional statement within the for loop. So now that you know what the for loop is, you can use it for several things. If you want to repeat certain actions, you can put nested conditions within it. You can put a nested for loop, and as we go into advanced courses, you'll see applications of this. Now you can see that I use the let keyword to declare this variable I. Now when you use the let to declare a variable in a loop, that variable will only be visible within the loop. We have another type of loop we call the while loop, and the while loop will execute as long as the condition is true. So its syntax is while, and in a pair of parentheses you put the condition and then you put what to do if that condition is true. So let's say for instance we want to declare a variable called I. So let's say that I is equal to 1 for instance, and we want to say while the condition should be I is less than or equal to 5, we want to do something, and we want to say let's just log to the console. We'll say console.log, and then we'll have count, let's concatenate plus I. But we just can't stop here. We want to do something, increment or decrement. If not, this will run into an infinite loop. So we want to increment the value of I after it does that. So let's refresh this to see the console. Count 1, count 2, count 3, count 4, count 5. So we can see how we use the while loop. We have another called the do while loop, which is like a different variation of the while loop, and the difference is that regardless of the condition, whether true or false, it's always going to execute at least once before it checks the condition. If the condition is false, it stops. If the condition is true, it continues. And so let's do that. We'll say I is equal to 1. So instead of while here, we'll use do. We'll say do, and then we'll tell it what to do, right? We'll say do console.log count I++, then we'll put a while condition after this, while, and then we'll put the condition here. Let's say I is less than or equal to 5. So this is how the while loop is written. You tell it what to do, and then you give it the condition using the while. So this is the while loop, and it prints the same thing. We can change this from count to, let's say, step, so that we can see the different printout there, right? So you see it in the console. So it will always run at least once, even if the condition is false. Okay. There are control statements in loop that we use. We have the break and the continue control statement. Now let's say we use the for loop. Let's say for let I equal 1, I is less than or equal equal to 5, I plus plus. Then here we want to say if I is equal to 3, we want to break, and then we want to log in the console.log I. Now what this means is that when we use a break statement, we want to exit the loop when it encounters the number 3, and if it doesn't encounter the number 3, it continues to log it in the console. So we'll see that it's going to exit the loop when it encounters 3, and it's not going to print out 3. 1, 2 and exit because it made 3. Alright, if we want it to just skip and move to the next one, instead of break, we'll use continue like this. Alright, and when we refresh our page, we'll see it skips 3 and continues to the next iteration. So in summary, the for loop, we initialize, we put the condition, and then we put the code block to be executed, and then it will increment or decrement back into the condition. For the while loop, we check the condition first, we execute if the code is true, and then we repeat. Then do while loop, we execute first, we check the condition, then we repeat. This is where we end this lesson. In the next lesson, we are going to look at strings in JavaScript. Thank you and see you in the next lesson.